Welcome back everyone. Today I bring you another 2v2 game because as said in my last video, we had another one of the 2v2 monthly tournaments from Protoss and well, now it's actually the Simulated Divisions League, which is, yeah, as I said, it's now a monthly occurrence. So there was one last month, this is one from this month, and next month there will also be a 2v2 tournament, though I won't be able to play in this because I will be away. First of all, and second of all, it's going to be on a mod, which I think is cool, but it's just not for me at all. But if you are into like a little bit more crazy stuff, because it's not just like a modern day mod, I think it's some sort of like sci-fi thing, though I'm not exactly sure, then definitely check it out, because I think it then won't be that many other modded tournaments. Yeah, this was still standard, so no mods except for modded maps. So the first two matches of this tournament were modded maps, yeah, well, it didn't go so well. You can see I'm playing together with Stahlbrecher again, and the thing is we didn't have time to play the maps even once. And on one hand, I really like modded maps being in the tournaments, but the problem is that if you don't have the time to play them, and also you don't have other people to play them with, because you obviously can't play it with just anybody because they won't have the map, you just automatically lose against anybody who has played the map even once, which I don't know, kind of feels shitty. But to be fair, you can say that this is obviously a skill issue by us because we should have played it before. So yeah, I would still prefer it for the modern maps to be in the game, and we also just got fucked over by the first map because the first map is just horrible garbage, like an old war game map, where like it's incredibly unbalanced, and we got the bad side, at least from what we could tell, because basically the center is like one big open field, except for that in front of our middle point there's a giant forest. Not giant, but there's a pretty thick forest where the enemy can push in and from there on stage their attack into our sector, while our attack vector into their center sector is just literally an open field with nothing there. It's like, how does that work? That's super dumb. But, well, I mean, as I said, just went horrible. Then third map, or third game would have been on one of the normal maps, it would have been on loop, but our enemies just didn't turn up. They didn't even answer when I wrote them, so yeah, we got a win for free. And then the fourth game, this time we only had 4 matches, or 4 games in the tournament, because there were less teams than last time. We played on, as you can see, Mount River Assault. So this is just the normal Mount River map, but you can see the sectors are different from the 1v1 variant. We actually did play this once, because like we had literally one game to prepare, because we just didn't have more time, and so we played the Mount River map once, and like honestly, I think the zone layout is kind of nice. The big problem is it is still Mount River, and the map is incredibly narrow. Like it is already pretty narrow in 1v1 because like in the end it's just this lane and this lane, because this area is kind of, I mean, obviously you can fight here, but that rarely happens because of the 2 lakes there. And then this whole side, is completely useless. So it's pretty much a meat grinder, one way or the other. And well, finally, let's talk about the divisions we're playing. So I went with the West German 5th Panzer Division. Good old trusty 5th Panzer. Love it very much. And yeah, as always in those monthly tournaments, you had to like pre-pick a bunch of divisions. Though this time you could also ban divisions from your enemies again. And yeah, we went with 5th Panzer this time over 4E. And Stahlbrecher picked 5E. So we didn't go with the ultra cancer combo we had last time where it was 4E and 5E. We went with the slightly less cancer combo of 5E and 5th Panzer. Yeah, you can see we are doing a massive push on the right hand side because this is what we tried in our practice match and it worked pretty well. Our enemies are Versalite and Snowy. Versalite is playing 119Y and Snowy is playing 79Y. So this is going to be a pretty tank heavy game. obviously they have a lot heavier tanks than us. Like more tanks, more heavier tanks, and heavier tanks in general. But they have a lot less, obviously, especially compared to Stahlbrecher and his AMX 30s. And we also have just more infantry, but they arguably have better infantry because of 119th, and then 79 Jahr has like 119th forward deployed infantry, that is, and 79 Jahr has the VMP2s, which pretty much just straight up counter my modders in every single way possible. So this is going to be a little bit tough. Artillery-wise, I would say we are better off because I have the Mars, and this is like one of the few cases where the Mars should be actually very good. The Mars overall isn't like the super best because MLRS in general, the MLRS balance is a little bit weird. Not gonna even talk about the Lars, which, you know, in real life had a targeting computer, but in WARNO somehow has the same accuracy as Grad, but less damage output, even though the Grad is like just manually aimed. So, yeah. Huge imbalance, what can you say? But yeah, well, the Lars is obviously forever useless, but the Mars, the cluster one, is decent. It's just expensive, that's the problem. But because its minimum range was decreased, you can get it to the front line quite close to the front line and fire it with a very small spread. So that was what I wanted to try out this game at some point. But importantly, we need to survive the early game because we have like decent mechanized forward deployed in the AMX 10s from Stahlbrecher and my Luxus. But the enemy, as I said, 119th gets a Spetsnaz and 79 Jahr also gets the Recon BMP2. By the way, I think the Recon BMP2 should just not have better optics because, like, factually, like there's not such thing as a reconnaissance version of a BMP2 like there is, for example, of the Bradleys that have an actual recon version with better optics. The Recon BMP2 is just used in a different unit, but it's still just a BMP2. Also, by the way, Division 1 player deploying his units not on the road. SMH. Sorry, Stahl. No hate, but yeah, I just thought this was funny. That this Roland 2s were super behind. Also, don't know why this one didn't like just literally drive 5 meters to the side and use the road there. Like, bruh, what the fuck? Drank too much wine, the good old Frenchman. But yeah, well, either way, so this is a big problem for us. So for our deployment, as I said, massive deployment on the right-hand side. Let's quickly go over the deployment to the left-hand side. Fernspeer here in the tower, AMX 10 rushing forward, and a Jaguar 2 coming in for support. A Jäger on the left-hand side going into the building there. Éclaireur into the church, and then a Milan 2 in the church as well. And then some Tarasques and I think one infantry squad. So very light deployment on the left-hand side. While for the right-hand side you can see, yeah, as I said, I deployed 2 Luxus, Stahl deployed 2 AMX 10s, Fernspeer will go into the tower here, Command Leopard 1A5, then I have 1 Leopard 2 A4C, 2 Gepards and 2 Mardas, well I deployed the 2 Gepards because Stahl deployed the 2 Rolands, so that was supposed to be our air defense. And then also some infantry from his side and 2 Brandisses from him, also 2 Tarasques for some early light helo defense. So yeah, very heavy push on the right hand side, but you can see on the left hand side we have been pushed back already because the enemy deployed, Mercilite deployed his Spetsnaz here very aggressively, so unfortunately my Jäger died. But his Tarasques will finish off the enemy Mi-24, which is pretty good. But his voltages, unfortunately, he weren't in cover of the building, so they didn't have the best engagement against the Spetsnaz because they just couldn't see them. We'll go off the Spetsnaz OP though, which is nice. But on the right-hand side, it's going pretty well. So especially enemy came in with the SU-24HE, instantly got sniped by the double Roland 2, which is, you know, it's kind of expected. Also Milan 2 here deployed by me. Gets I think a nice hit on the T80 BV that is. Engagement here with the Leopard 2 A4C was a bit hard because Stahl smoked off with his Brennus, which was then too late anyway, it died. So that was a bit unfortunate. Tunguska here survives his Brennus shot, and then Leopard unfortunately gets stuck on the infantry. So right hand side looking pretty okay. Left hand side though is pretty much collapsed completely. Our idea was also to obviously take this area, but overall push into the center from here on out, so the good old Skific strat. And I'm gonna say it again, like, a lot of his strats just work fairly well. Not all the time, but in general, you know, there's a reason why he came up with the strat. Yeah, Recon BMP2 does die. I thought it survived actually, so that's also good. Marder's now providing some nice fire support against the Spetsnaz GRU. Stahl's infantry here, well, not doing much because the infantry in WARNO doesn't do anything. Leopard 2A4C, I think he got another hit on the T80PV, so very nice engagement here actually with the Leopard 2A4C not even hit once, so very good RNG for me in this case. And by the way, I'm like specifically mentioning the infantry just because I have started, you know, playing Steel Division 2 again, and it's literally night and day. It's not even funny how unbelievably bad infantry combat is in WARNO. And I do like WARNO a lot, by the way. I just think that infantry combat is like the thing that really needs to be changed the most. Even air combat is kind of fine. But yeah, you can see on the left-hand side, complete collapse. I am calling in a bunch of few units of infantry, Leopard 1A1A1, Roland 2 as well. But the problem is that they're already driving through this road, and we don't have any recon information here, which is a little bit problematic. I think maybe we already spotted this command going in here, or we will spot soon. And the problem is that the back sectors are the only +2 sectors, so if they capture the +2 sector in the back, that will be pretty bad, because the center sector isn't a +2 sector as in the 1v1 version, it's just a +1. Every sector is a +1, except for those two back zones. So losing them early on, or one of them, well, the only one, our one, +2 back zone early on would be very painful. And here, by the way, you can see Marder really struggling against the Recon BMP2s, which, I mean, not only do they get better optics for literally no reason at all, because they didn't have better optics, they also get better stealth, which, I mean, I get it for infantry that they get better stealth on the Recon vehicles, but I don't know, with the BMP2 it's just so unnecessarily strong. T80PV on the right-hand side dies though, and that's pretty good for us, because there is a lot of investment on the left-hand side, so killing a T80PV on the right-hand side should make it pretty good for us to push in. Unfortunately, the Su-24 cluster comes in, and I tried to evade with the Leopard 2. The Marder gets out in time, but the Leopard 2 doesn't. The Su-24 goes down in return though, and I mean, I have 4 Leopard 2s, he only has 2 Su-24 clusters, so honestly, that's a trade I'm absolutely willing to make. On the left-hand side, we did kill his command before he was able to fully capture the zone, though, which is pretty important, because that would have put him at a +5. And, yeah, because all those other zones are +1s, you know, getting a +5 is actually pretty impactful. So, it was very important to stop them before they were able to get a capture. It would have been obviously even more important to stop them before they even get into the sector, but, I don't know. It do be like that sometimes. The thing is, the center was pretty much completely empty, so we just got in there for free. I also very stupidly didn't push up the Leopard 1A5 a lot earlier. It was still like chilling in the back there, and then I finally remembered, oh yeah, right, I had the command for the right-hand side. Might as well put it into, you know, actually put it into the sector. Yeah, my Leopard 1A1 died here though, I guess, to some Recon BMP2s. And I mean, oh yeah, right, 119th also gets them, right? So it's 2 divisions with Recon BMP2s. Ah, oh, Jesus Christ. It's just really annoying, those Recon BMP2s. But yeah, here the Grenadier Voltager is out of cover against Spetsnaz GRU in cover, obviously not having a good time. My Grenadiers are going in to engage them as well though. At this range they will do pretty much no damage at all, either way, but they will at least support the poor Grenadier Voltagers that is really taking a beating. But I mean, even here, look at this. This unit is standing in the open against a Special Forces squad. Sure, it's only like 5 men, but it's like... or 6 men, but it's still supposed to be like 6, you know, very good men against a squad literally in the open field. And they are engaging with all of their weapons, and they still take forever to kill them. Like, Jesus Christ. That's just dumb. TO-55, a very annoying unit for me to deal with here. But Leopard 2A3 is arriving, and well, this one will obviously have a very good time dealing with them, unless it misses, even though it's double wet. So don't know what's going on there. Well, I know, it was just unlucky, and then it misses again. Jesus Christ. Yeah, also, by the way, another thing that is just a lot better about Steel Division is just a consecutive shot bonus. I always thought it's the same in WARNO, and then I found out that it isn't. That the consecutive shot in WARNO is like so unbelievably bad that it basically doesn't even exist. Just why? It's one of the best features of Steel Division in my opinion, and Eugene games in general. I have no idea why this is so nerfed in WARNO, but well, yeah. Spetsnaz here dealing with the commandos pretty well. Commandos do retreat, though I wanted them to keep line of sight of the Spetsnaz because I wanted to come in with an MW1. As you can see, I have bought it just now. I had to wait for the tick to come in, obviously. Some more Leopard 1A1A1s coming in. Unfortunately, though, we have kind of run out of infantry here now. Me-24 being annoying to Stahl's AMX-10. But with having complete control of the center and recapturing our back zone, we do stop their tick. Here, unfortunately, I kill his commandos, and the Spetsnaz had already actually moved out, so his MW1 did nothing but kill a few Frenchmen. You know, some might say a happy little accident. No, I'm just kidding. I don't hate the French. I'm actually a big fan of, you know, the German-French friendship. I think that's one of the biggest achievements we have had in Europe since like World War II. But there still has to be a little bit of hate because they're so French. Yeah, well, there are some units coming into the center, but really just, you know, trickling in one by one, which is always a bad idea, because this will always lead to your units just dying for no gain. Stahl losing his units on the left-hand side to something that we can't see was rather annoying. And yeah, that's the Spetsnaz that my MW1 missed, unfortunately. And because I was seeing Stahl's units constantly getting sniped here by something, I really didn't want to push my tanks forward just with willy-nilly without any infantry support, because I know that there are units around here. And especially with the Spetsnaz OP of 119th, like my tanks in a forest can like die in a matter of literal seconds if there's a Spetsnaz OP there. So I want something to screen them. You see the Franco-German are already coming up. Do finally get a kill on the Spetsnaz, that was really important. Su-27 coming in, unfortunately gets a snipe on the Bopa, but gets sniped in return by the Rolands. And I mean, this is a trade I'm absolutely willing to make, by the Roland 2 and the Mistral that is. The Roland 2, yeah, it has actually already vetted up, so it came in at vet 1. Vetted up once and is now also, well, vetted by the command because the command was driving by it. I mean, even now at vet 2, like 65% accuracy is pretty good. And, you know, don't get gaslit by people. Not gaslit, I mean, people just really don't know. It is guided, but that doesn't mean that it instantly loses a lock or guidance when a plane flies out of range of the missiles. There's always like, it is an advantage of the fire and forget missiles. The problem is, like, the nuance is that the guided missiles, they also track beyond range. They just track for a shorter amount of time. For the guided missiles, I think it's 1 second, and for the fire and forget missiles, it's 3 seconds. So they are still better, but it's still not like they will instantly cut the connection the second is out of range. The problem more is that people oftentimes have them on an attack move, and then once the enemy plane flies out of range, the unit starts moving again instantly, and that's why they break their guidance. But yeah, either way. Right-hand side, not really going forward that well. We know that there's units like somewhere here and here, like heavy units, but we just weren't able to establish control over this forest patch for the time being, though you can see I have purchased some Panzergrenadier and Mardas. Fernsphere and Mina 2 have also been moved up. I think the Mina 2 has killed a T-80 already or something, because you can see it vetted up. So I think it got a T-80 kill. Sublin D dying, unfortunately, on the left-hand side. Yeah, so there is some invisible units here just wrecking Stahl all over the place, which was rather unfortunate. Leopard 2A3 here waiting for a good moment to strike. I was also macroing more on the left at this point in time, so that's why I just kept the Leopard 2A3 here in the defensive so that it doesn't get sniped by some random ATGMs. You can see also I have called in some howitzers now, and I saw the T-80UD here just randomly being parked in the forest, and even though that's out of the corrected shot range, I thought that, you know, still getting a hit on it would be nice, because, you know, some damage is still better than no damage, and it will force him to repair, which will use supply and waste time just where he can't attack because he's stunned. Also have a Mina 2 deployed in the tower here that does some nice damage against the T-80. MiG-29 comes in again, snipes an ATGM helicopter from us. Roland 2 here was too far back, so unfortunately no kill. Because again, I was very wary of some backline action, that's why I kept it a little bit further back than I would have wanted to. SF-24 comes in and bombs the forest here. I guess... No, it didn't kill a Grenadier Voltigeur here. So just... Well, I mean, it did route the Sublin D, so that's also a good thing that you have. Yeah, here I was trying to engage with the Leopard 2A3, but unfortunately, don't think I did get a lot done. Yeah, left hand side now infantry pushing forward, slowly but steadily. You can see also Stahl has a bunch of infantry brought in, but this far left side is still a bit of an issue. JDU did retreat before it got killed, so I'm still seeing it. So I just again put my artillery on it to just keep it suppressed. The longer the better, because those UDs are like 330 points, so they're giga expensive and don't get a lot of them. So even keeping one of them suppressed is already a lot of value gained, pretty much. Yeah, so here we now have 3 tanks together with the Brennus and the AMX-10. Well, I mean, 2 tanks and a recon tank, to be fair. So I told Stahl to let's try to engage his BMP-2s and T-80s here. And the problem is there's actually 2 T-80 IZDs, I think, and 2 BMP-2s. Yeah, so that's obviously way too much for us to deal with, especially because the Brennus now will just get stunned, I guess. No, they all went for my Leopard 2 and 3, but I was able to smoke it off just in time, which was very lucky, honestly. Left-hand side, SU-24 comes in, gets a nasty bombing run, gets killed in return, though. They do get 4 of those SU-24 HEs if Versalite also takes it in his 119th. And I think, honestly, 119th in team games are like smaller team games, don't know about 10v10. But in smaller team games, 119th should be like even stronger than it is in 1v1, for the sole reason that you can also use your air tap a lot better, because yeah, you can rely on your teammate also helping you out. Here I saw 2 Spetsnaz in the church, so I went in with the MW1. He did micro one of them out in time, though. Well, he microed both of them out in time, but one still got hit by the MW1. So it's like, it's like not the best value, but it's okay. But either way, like with 119th, you kind of can afford the more expensive planes if your teammate, for example, helps holding the front line with cheaper units, and then you can invest more points into your heavy tanks and into your expensive planes. And I think this is very strong, though in this case we haven't seen a lot of that, because 119th could also use a bunch of SU-24 seat and SU-24 LGBs. So obviously also you don't want to over-invest into air. Second MW1 was repaired and did come in again. Kills the second Spetsnaz. And as I said, like this is... Obviously those units are not a good trade 1-to-1, especially if the MW1 then gets killed by the Tunguska. But the thing is that Versalite has only a very limited amount of those. So for me, it's almost even worth it to it's not very worth it to sacrifice the Tornado, but it's like, it's not a completely horrible trade, because I am taking away the best infantry he has. SU-27 sniping another Gazelle Hot, pretty annoying. You can see on the right hand side, it's kind of like not really going anywhere for us, but it's also not going anywhere really for the enemy. And the thing is, we are very close to their back zone, so they need to defend this very heavily, while we are slowly pushing them back on the left hand side. So there's still some progress going on. Also, there's a T-80 UD here that I guess was really being an issue for Stahl, sniping all of his units. We did kill another SU-27S, so that was also pretty weird. Like, our enemies were just constantly flying planes over this area, even though they know that there's a lot of AA here. And I think that's ultimately also why this combination on this map isn't the best, because as I said, the Air Force could be used very well by 119th if the map would be wider. Because in this case, you basically just have the lane here and the lane here, and then you put like 2 Roland-2s here, 2 Roland-2s here, and then it's GG. Like, you're not getting through. Especially with the Roland-2, you can't even seed it. So yeah, I think it's just not the best use case. Though I mean, like for the air specifically, because I still have a bunch of BMP-2s and T-80s and the T-80 UDs. And you can see, I mean, we are struggling to deal with all of the T-80 ICD and BMP-2s on the right-hand side. So it's working there. The problem is just that kind of the left-hand side is more and more collapsing for the enemy. We are even slowly retaking this left-hand side that was really annoying. TO-55s are now just being caught out by my Leopard blob, and I mean 2 Leo 101s and a Leo 203 will absolutely shred TO-55s, especially if they're like 3v1. The advantage of the TO-55s is in numbers, like using them on their own is not good. Or in this case also, this is nice where, you know, my Pioneer Carl Gustav at 60% accuracy just misses their AT launcher shot, the Mao. I think the Mi-24 here did snipe the Leopard 101. Did smoke off the other ones and retreat though. try to push the Gepard forward to get rid of those Mi-24s, because those are really annoying. Yeah, Stahl's missed right here is out of ammo, so it's not very useful. Tunguska here was still alive, and that was so annoying because it was like, as you can see, at 1 HP. MiG-29 gets hit by the Roland 2 and then by a bunch of Gepards. Doesn't die, but it's still out of the game for like 6 minutes now to repair. Yeah, well, right hand side, I have now called in another Leopard 2A4C. But yeah, it's just still very hard to get a push into him because of his ATGMs, and the IZD, remember, also has the better ATGM. And then the BMP2s obviously with the Conquerors, and we also can't snipe the BMP2s at max range, except for, I think, the Leopard 2A4C can, but the 2A3 can't, and the Brennesses and the normal AMX-30B2s obviously also can't. And my Mardas also can't take them up at max range because the Conquerors critically outranges them. The Jaguar here is nice, but you can see it also has been hit already very heavily. And the Milan 2 never really got a good line of sight. Or the line of sight is okay, but it's just not as deep as one would wish. Maybe this... Nah, but this church would have an even worse line of sight into this area here. Yeah, you know. It is what it is. Yeah, also now I have deployed infantry and another Leopard 2A3 to this side here, to the left side, to finally see what's going on here and push them out of there. Gepard gets a nice kill on the Mi-24, but I was also seeing an ATGM already coming in, so I kind of was hoping for, or like waiting for it to get off its last shot. Then someone got off and retreat, and it worked out perfectly. The last salvo killed the Mi-24, and I was able to smoke off just before the ATGM of the T-80UD would land. The reflex, very good ATGM, good range, good penetration, very high speed also, which is always important with those ATGMs. And then we saw a push coming in for the center with the T-80BV and the T-80UD, which is pretty bad news because, like, I have a Milan 2 here and the Leopard 1A5, and they are not enough to deal with them. S-24 Seed comes in, hits a Gepard, and then all the Roland 2s miss. Oh no, one hits. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of okay, I guess. Still a little bit unlucky that my double vet Roland 2 here missed. And here also one of them is also double vet, so kind of should have expected more to hit, I guess. Like 65% accuracy, and what was it, 5 or 6 shots? I mean, oh well, not the worst outcome, only one Gepard dead. Here now Leopard 1A1 was driving in to engage the T-80UD. I wanted it to fire at the BMP2, but I guess it wasn't seeing it yet, yeah. It was a bit unfortunate. Do retreat it in time, though, I think, maybe? Ooh, gets a big hit, though, and then, yeah, dies to, I guess, the other T-80UD here. Do get one recon BMP2, though, and that's, like, almost worth it. And then Stahl's Jaguar IT gets a T-80UD nasty side shot here, because it just turned its side armor, I think. So also not well microed by our enemy. Because those IT planes of 5E are not that good because they have the guided missiles, and in this case it's actually important because, as I said already several times, the guided missiles, AT missiles, are a lot worse than the fire and forget, because the fire and forget completely ignore smoke. So once they're off the rails, they will always, well, they will hit or won't hit depending on the RNG, but they can't be stopped by smoke. That's the problem. And the guided missiles can. So in this case, if we would have just pressed B, his T-80 would have survived. Here, very unfortunately, his T-80UD like barely gets out of the artillery barrage by Stahl. With like half an HP. That was really annoying. And now there's a... the attack is actually starting because it didn't start when I thought it would. Now it does, and unfortunately the Milan 2 is now out of ammo, which is rather annoying for a tank push. And you can see like 2 TO-55s, T-80UD, T-80BV, and a BMP2 against like pretty much nothing I have left here is pretty bad. But Stahl has 3 AMX-30B2s and a Besseau Blindé, which is still not that great because they will still have a very, very rough time dealing with the T-80UD and the BV. I mean, they have a good engagement against the TO-55s and the BMP2Ds. But as I said, like those 2 tanks alone here should kind of be able to finish us off anyway. The problem for them right now is, though, that as you can see, the left-hand side is falling to us. T-80UD here is very heavily damaged. Does smoke off, though, and retreat. But we pretty much have control over this sector again. So as soon as my command arrives, I can just put it in and put us at a tick. And now his artillery was starting to arrive on the enemy tanks. And you can see the T-80BV starts retreating. Well, I think the T-80UD was still driving forward here. Yeah, it was still driving forward at like, what is it, 3 HP? And that was incredibly dumb. And yeah, well, my 2 Leopard 2s come in from the side and finish it off. And yeah, so that's the push here pretty much completely killed off. Oh no, the TADVs is still alive. I thought I hit it. Oh no, okay, now I hit it and did get a kill on it. BMP2D also dying. I mean, the TADBV did survive, but in this case, just the problem is that Versalite started pushing and Snowy started retreating. And so you either both retreat or you both attack. And I did finally call in the Mars, and you can see how close you can call it into the front. There was a small blob of tanks here, but I think I only killed the BRM-1 unfortunately, because all the other tanks and IFVs got out of harm's way in time, unfortunately. But I mean, there's still 1 unit gone, and the BRM is actually very important because it provides the air optics, not the air optics, sorry, the recon information, air optics. I said air optics because I was looking at the ASF-27. But obviously not the best point trade-wise. And I only use half my barrage, so I can still use the other half on a different target. Yeah, as I said, we did get into the sector here. I tried to like preemptively barrage the infantry here, but like the enemy infantry, but he just straight up moved like into my infantry. So this will now be kind of wasted. And you can see I have now a pretty good Leopard blob here again. 2 Leopard 2A3s, 1A1A1, Marder. Then another 2A3 here somewhere. Oh no, this is the one on the left hand side. So here is just Leopard 1s. But 2 1A5s and the Marder is also good, and then the Command Leopard 2A3 is also like can be used to fight. And we are at the +2 tick now. And the enemy never got a big tick on us, so they are actually in a pretty bad spot now. Do kill an IZD on the right hand side with the Milan 2 here. I guess it was a side shot, most likely, somewhere. And here again I see like a TADBVK and an OSA, and I mean this seems like a good target. Unfortunately the TADBVK gets out in time, but I do kill the OSA, so that's actually a very valuable target. Mars is now out of ammo though, so I will need to resupply it. Seed comes in, I think. Did it finish off one of my Gepards? I think it did, yeah it did. And we actually didn't even kill the SF-24. Bit unlucky because the Roland 2s here are a little bit too far to the right. They're also almost out of ammo. And my Roland 2 here was way too defensively positioned. It should have been pushed up here. There you can see. No, I'm not pushing it up now still. I'm just calling in new ones. But yeah, this one definitely needs to push up because we now have control over this area. You can see pushing forward into the forest here. Bodega Aufklärer in front, so the Leopards and the Marers can really do a good job fighting off the infantry. Why is the autocannon here not firing? What the hell? Okay, that's weird. No idea what's going on there. Yeah, it's just like we're slowly and steadily pushing through here. And we have killed several heavy tanks now already, which is very, very painful for the enemy, especially considering that, I mean, Stahl has lost quite a few of his AMX-30s, but they're not that expensive. And I'm pretty sure I have only lost like one of my Leopard 2 A4Cs here to the cluster bomber. I have kept alive all of my other heavy tanks. I've lost a bunch of Leopard 1s, but I mean, that's really not that important. Both AMX-30s missing. Smokes off the one that the ATGM was going for though. Here got a little too close to comfort, and his Motostoke did actually get a one shot, but it's just the RPG-22, so it doesn't do that much against the Leopard. And here I decided to just push through, because it really didn't seem like there was a lot left here, and I saw that Tunguska really wanted to finish it off, though I think the AMX-30 B2s were already quicker than I was. Another Gepard dying, I think, again to the seat, yeah. Unfortunate. Just some infantry here that I thought would be nice to target with my 155s. Maybe can kill them off. If not, I don't think I will kill them, but I will force them to retreat. It's not like the best target because you can use a double 155s also to kill heavier targets, or especially also important to kill BMP2s. But I just wasn't seeing too much. Only after I started the barrage, like the tanks here appeared, but I think those are also TO-55s. And they're out of corrected shot range, so not the most important target. Kill Recon BMP2 on the left-hand side. Those two Leopards are actually almost out of fuel. But I'm just straight up pushing through here, as you can see. Also, Stahl very nice targets their supply helicopter. I have two Phantoms circling in the back because it was an Su-27 flying around here. It eventually flew away, and I think they got killed by the Rolands or something. This Roland has now actually upgraded to max med. And this is like, they're so strong. I think I will also run them now in my 1v1 deck and just replace the Fliegerfaust with them. Because the Fliegerfaust are like pretty good spam, in my opinion. But the Roland 2 is just such good value for money. Like for 100 points, not seedable. Sure, it's obviously straight up worse than a Roland 3, but it's also cheaper and not seedable, which is so important if your enemy does like heavy airplay where they use seed as well. It can completely counter that. Another T80U dying, don't even know where, I guess somewhere around here. Yeah, now here, Stahl and me did like the perfect team play. We were engaging the T80U and UDs, you can see from two different directions. So the T80UD, I think in the back here, has died to a sideshot from the AMX Serendia or something. And then this T80U dies to a sideshot from a Leopard 1A5. And so yeah, again, two heavy tanks, completely caught out of position without any recon. And we just killed them with a bunch of light tanks engaging from several directions. And that's also pretty much how you want to defeat them. Obviously the counterplay to this is to not have them overextended and keep them behind your infantry. But yeah, that was a big mistake. And now we have a pretty much free reign over their back zone. My Leopard, by the way, completely ran out of fuel. This one was resupplied with a little bit of fuel, but not a lot. So I actually need to refuel them now. My command Leopard on the way into the zone. Center is pretty much still uncontested. Their push here, after it has completely failed, was never able to re-establish itself. And the right hand side is just still a big stalemate. I mean, I guess they slowly have pushed us back a little bit, but like not by much. Both of Stahl's Jaguars actually hitting, but unfortunately now side shots, so only frontal hits. Let's see whether the second round will get some hits. This one misses. This one might have hit though. I mean, there is an ICD died, so maybe it hit. And yeah, now MiG-29 is just flying into RAA net, and I guess it will maybe... No, it doesn't... It finished off one of the Jaguars, but I mean, losing two fighters for a Jaguar is not really worth it. Oh, maybe this one will survive, actually. Ah, yeah, it will survive. So overall, it's not even that bad of a trade. T80BV on the left-hand side again dies to something. My Tornado ATs, I don't think they did a lot. I think they got a hit or something, but not a kill. And now this blob is just perfect for the Mars. I really hope that he wouldn't move it forward too much, because then I would get like the absolutely juiciest of hits with the Mars. But yeah, unfortunately he was attacked moving forward, and he lost the targets in the tower here. So yeah, they moved forward actually, but I stopped it just in time before it was able to go off, in the hopes that I could get an even better hit. And another ICT dies on the flank here. Oh, there's a 30B2 bailout, but I mean, with all the losses they have taken, that's just really not worth it. And yeah, well, unfortunately now, not that many juicy targets left here anymore, but the Mars strike should still be good. So let's see how it goes. Decent hit, and then the second hit gets a T80 BV ICD, and I mean that's already worth it. And then another BMP2 also going down. So actually very good Mars strike. So the Mars has literally even paid itself off. My Leopard 4C here though did take very heavy damage, so definitely don't want it to die. Also, engine damage is very, very dangerous because it will now take forever to retreat. Left hand side, they did actually kill quite a few of my tanks. I mean, I did push the Leopard 2A3 forward here pretty aggressively, and then it was 2v1 by the BVKs. But I mean, at this point we just didn't even care that much, because we know that most of the U's and UDs are dead. You can see I have another like just death blob of Leopard 2s coming in. I think Stahl should also still have some tanks left. Oh, maybe not, because he's just spamming Mephistos now. Don't know. But I mean, yeah, as I said, we have just killed so many units. And the problem is just that our enemies, they kind of just straight up split up the map. So Versalite was playing on this side, and Snowy was playing on this side, but they didn't cooperate that much. And that was just such a bad mistake, because Versalite would have really just needed a few more infantry and BMP2s on his side, and then this could have been a lot more dangerous to us and a lot harder to push through. Instead, Snowy just invested shit tons of points into BMP2s and T80 ICDs on this flank, and ultimately he held his sector, sure, but overall the tanks were just sitting there not doing anything, and then once they drove forward we just killed them all. While if he would have had like a few less units here, he could have still held the push if he played well, and then had like 2 or 3 more tanks with the center push, for example, and also coordinated it better. They easily could have pushed us out of here. So yeah, just unfortunately not the best decisions by our enemies. I mean, unfortunately, it's a strategy game, so you know it's all about decisions, but yeah, obviously unfortunate for the enemies. That Mephisto then also gets a side shot on the T-80U here. SU-22 HE dies from the AA. Also, I think it barely did anything to my tanks. So yeah, Versalite surrenders, and Snowy will surrender soon after. Stahl also getting his tank onto the right, into the right-hand side, his command tank. Yeah, Seed coming in for another round once again, but I mean, yeah, the roll and choose literally don't even care. So the second SU-22 only being used now, yeah, well, really needed it earlier in the game. And that was it. So definitely a nice try by our enemies. Also don't know why our profile pictures weren't shown in this one. We played at a round of Normandy 44 before that, because as I said, our enemies didn't turn up, so we just played a quick round of Normandy 44. And after that, WARNO just didn't show our profile pics. Don't know why. Yeah, GG to our enemies. They definitely tried, but yeah, as I said, I just think they needed to coordinate a lot better. It was the fourth game, so that was after 3 hours of gaming, so maybe they were also just tired. And I also don't know whether they even have voice comms, for example. But yeah, you can see Versalite just really struggling to keep his tanks alive, and in general just got pretty horrible trades overall. Snowy, I mean, he performed better, but yeah, his tanks were just sitting in the back, and they killed a few AMX-30s, but this is the whole problem of fighting against 5e, that the AMX-30s are dirt cheap. And then once my Leopard 2s arrive, or in this case, once he pushed into my Leopard 2s, and Stahl's AMX-30 B2s, and then also the Mars, it just all went so horribly wrong. They maybe could have also invested into more artillery earlier, honestly, because I also think they even started with a FOB and then barely used artillery, which was a little bit weird. Yeah, Stahl also getting a lot more kills, but also a lot more losses than me, which is funny considering that his tanks are also a lot cheaper. But it was, I think, most of those losses were in the early game on his left-hand flank, where he just got completely pushed out, and then just constantly sniped by some invisible BMP2s and the T-80UD that he also couldn't see. But then in the end, we stabilized, and together we pushed through the left-hand side and held the right side very well. So yeah, just nice team play overall. Also a better KD by me, just saying. Yeah, this Milan 2 just broke the back of Snowy on the right-hand side by killing 2 ICDs that never should happen from a single Milan 2. And also the Recon BMP2 and TO55 and BRM1 just make it even better. But yeah, that was just horrible. The first Leopard 2 A4C, I mean, it did kill a BV, so it's okay-ish, but very good early response with the SU-24 cluster. But then again, it would have been better if, for example, Snowy would buy the cluster, Versalite would buy in the seat, and then they both can send them in. And I mean, yeah, well, on the other hand, we had to run 2, so it wouldn't even have mattered that much. I guess that kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place in this case. Yeah, Roland 2s, as I said, performed really well. I don't think my Roland 2s got a lot of kills, actually. I mean, this one got SM27 and then Me24, but it also got a lot of hits. The MW1, I mean, both just killing ones better than this one, also just killing a commandos. Yeah, well, let's not talk about those. Didn't perform too well. Yeah, Leopard 2A3 here only killing a Motostrelki, definitely not worth it. But then the 2A4C here killing a UD and an ICD, this just got insane value. This UA3 also a bunch of tanks, and then BMP2s and the T-80U very well. This one just a bunch of infantry, so not super exciting. Leopard 1A1 killing a Recon BMP2 was actually a very good trade. It's okay point-wise, but just value-wise, the Recon BMP2 is one of the strongest units in the game, just because of its stealth and being forward deployed. 1A5 then killing the T-80U, fantastic side shots, and as I said, just very good teamwork by Stahl and me, where that was not by accident. We did that on purpose to surround the T-80Us, because I mean it has very good front armor, but it can only look into one direction with its frontal armor, which is the whole weakness of those tanks. Jago 2 actually did kill 2 BMP2s and the BRM, didn't even notice that. And then yeah, the Mars, the kill list doesn't look too impressive, but you have to remember that all of those units are pretty valuable, and with the ICD also just expensive, and it also isn't especially cheap. So it did actually get its value back. And yeah, I think the Master's actually, like, unironically a good unit. It's not the best because in general, just in Warner right now, like it's basically just the cheaper unit is, the better it is. Um, but it is still good if you have a stable frontline. It is. So in some, I mean, I guess you could then also argue that it isn't a good unit because you can only buy it in once you are already winning either way. But that's besides the point. And yeah, now the Mina 2 here, getting 2 BMP2s is also a good kill list. My howitzers, unfortunately, though, didn't do that well. Like, this one killed one motor stroke, and the other one, I think, didn't even kill a single thing. So, yeah, very kind of unfortunate. But yeah, well, I did use it to suppress a T80U. That was the reason why I didn't get a lot of kills. So it's kind of still worth it. And yeah, well, the early game didn't go too well for us on the left-hand flank, where the Mi-24 really wrecked our day and the Spetsnaz squads. But then once we like cleaned them out of there, they just had nothing behind them. And again, like that's where the 79th should have helped out 119th, because 119th just doesn't have a lot of cheap stuff to answer to our breakthroughs, even though he could still have spammed like the BRDM Conquerors and the Rapira AT gun. But oh well, yeah, don't know why I didn't do that. Like, for example, this T80UD, I mean, 2 Milans and Leopard 1A5 is like okay-ish, but you just expect more from a T80UD. I mean, well, no, to be fair, I don't know how many of Stahl's units this T80UD killed, so I can't even say how efficient they actually were. But yeah, overall, just all of those tanks, you can see that even if they kill, even if every single one of those tanks killed 2 AMX 30s on top of that, it wouldn't even be that great. It would be okay then, but not that great. And you in this such a matchup, you just need to kill a lot of tanks. Because well, that's what 5th Panzer and 5E have. And if you look at that, like I lost the Leopard 2 A4C early on to the cluster. And then after that, I just didn't lose any Leopard 2 A3s anymore. Well, except for like the late game where I just didn't even care about it anymore because we literally had the whole game, the whole map under our control. So yeah, was still a nice game. Like, also helped to make the tournament a little bit less cancer for us, because as I said, like playing on maps that you don't know against people that know the maps, and then also we played against very good players. Like the first game was against Suelos Kunta and Nocturna. I mean, Nocturna is like a good player, and Suelos Kunta is obviously one of the best players. And then the second game was against Hippie and Tiberius. So playing against those people on maps that you don't know and that they know is just cancer. So yeah, I mean, I guess sorry to our enemies, because this matchup was also pretty unfair, because Stahl and me both are a lot better than, like, higher ranked, meaning than our enemies. But yeah, well, it is what it is sometimes in those tournaments. So yeah, well, enough rambling. GG, well played to our enemies. Hope you enjoyed it. And next one will be another Warner video. I think I will switch it up a bit and do like 2 Warner videos and 1 Steel Division 2 video now in the week, because I like Warno and it's fairly well balanced overall in 1v1, but I'm just a little bit burned out. And I think, a little bit of diversity would be cool. So hope you will be there for it as well. If not, that's also fine. And so hope to see you in the next one. Until then, have a beautiful day and bye-bye.